Hi guys, in this video we are going to generate identicons based on a given string, and to be more precise, we are going to create them based on the usernames that are available in our Django application. So this is going to be a fairly simple and short video, and at the end we will have a result which could be an alternative for setting up a default avatar image linked to our profile. So instead of having this image field with a default avatar image, we can generate an identicon based on a username, and I'm going to show you how to do this right now. Alright guys, let me give you a very short overview on what we are going to create. So over here you see the list of users that are in my Django application, and next to them you see the generated identicons. So now if I select a particular one, I will see it in a bigger mode in a modal. Okay, and we can do it for the test user, for Pyplane, and for the Pyplane user. So this is what we are going to build, and now without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, let's start this tutorial from introducing the jdenticon library, which allows us to generate this awesome looking graphics based on a given string. So over here we can try it out for ourselves. I'm at jdenticon.com, and if I type look at the graphics, okay? And then if we type Pyplane, we can see that this jdenticon actually matches the one in my thumbnail. Okay, so this is the idea. We want to grab the users from our users table, and by the way, over here I have the users ready. Okay, so I've added, apart from my super user, 3 other Pyplane user, and test user. So we want to grab those users, and based on their usernames, we want to generate these awesome looking identicons or jdenticons. Right? So in order to get started, let's jump into Visual Studio Code, where I've set up a blank project, and there are no additional applications needed because everything will be based on the built-in table, which is regarding the users, of course. All right, so let's walk through what I have done, starting from the settings PY. So over here I just have a simple configuration for the templates, so Django will know where to look for our base HTML and main HTML. So main HTML inherits from base HTML, and I've done this because if everything would be done in base HTML, it would be a little bit difficult to read. So if we take a look at main HTML, over here we just have hello world, and here we will provide all our code. So it will be a little bit better readable than as if we would do it in base HTML. So this is the first thing. And then if we go back to settings PY and scroll a little bit down, over here we also have a configuration for the static files. So as you can see, in the base directory I have a static directory with main.js, and this main.js only does a console log with a hello world. And now if we take a look at the base HTML, over here we see that we need to place our jdenticon script in this place, but I have linked the main.js over here. Okay, I also have some Bootstrap 5 CSS and JavaScript. So this will allow us to use modals. And I have also jQuery. This is actually copied from a different project. And then I have this block content. Okay, so this is where we will define the logic in a template which will inherit from base HTML. So in our case, it's main HTML. So knowing this, we are actually able to create our view. So we need to go to the views.py file of our identicon project. So I've created this particular file. I've already imported render, but there is one thing missing. We need to bring in the user model. So from Django contrib modals, actually auth modals, we want to import the user modal. So now we can create a simple function view. I'm going to name it home view, which takes in a request, and I'm going to define a query set, and this is going to be user objects all, and then we can return render. I'm going to pass in the request, then I'm going to set the path to the template. So in our case, this is going to be main HTML. And then we need to define what we want to pass to the template. So as the key QS, I'm going to assign to this key the QS value. So let's save this. And now we can jump into the URLs PY, where we are going to, first of all, do an import of our view. So from .views, we want to import home view. So this is going to be the main path, and let's assign to it home view, just like this. Okay, so now we can go back and let's refresh the page. So something didn't work. User objects all. Okay, so I have some issues in the views PY. And yeah, in the QS, here is some bracket. Let's remove it and let's hit refresh one more time. And there it is. So we have hello world, and then I'm going to right click inspect, and I'm going to jump into the console, and we have hello world, and this is a confirmation that our static file main.js has been linked up with the base HTML over here correctly. Okay, so as the next step, let's bring in the jdenticon CDN. So we need to go to jdenticon, get started, vanilla.js. Let's copy the script and let's place it over here. Okay, let's save this and let's bring in this example SVG main HTML, and let's place it instead of the hello world. So maybe let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's save this. Let's hit refresh. And there it is. So this is our first jdenticon, identicon. All right. So in order for this to be dynamic and use the usernames that we have in our Django application, we need to have this data jdenticon value assigned to the usernames. So what we need is a for loop for element or object, or maybe for user in QS. We can now place this over here, and of course change this fixed user127 to user.username. Let's save this. Let's hit refresh, and now we see for jdenticons, which is all right because we have 4 users. So maybe as the next step, we can add a break line below, and then let's also add this username next to our SVG. Perfect. So this is it. This is how it looks like. And now, before we actually jump into JavaScript, let's also add a class for this SVG. And I'm going to call it jdenticon. Okay. So we are going to determine which SVG has been clicked based on this class. So we are going to grab those SVG based on this jdenticon class. And then I'm also going to set a style equal to, and then cursor is going to be set to pointer, just like this. So we will have an effect of clicking. Okay, so now we can see that we can actually click on it. And if we click on it, nothing happens, but nothing happens yet. As the next step, we can jump into our main.js and we can try to grab those jdenticons. So I'm going to create a constant jdenticons is equal to, and then document get elements by class name, and then we are going to put in jdenticon, and this will give us a node list which we would like to transform into an array so that we can perform on the jdenticons a for each. So now we are going to loop through the jdenticons. So let's grab an element. For each element like this, we are going to listen on a click event. So we need to add an event listener. And as mentioned before, we are going to listen on a click event. And then we can, for now, console log the element that we clicked. Okay, so let's see if this will work. I'm going to refresh. And as you can see, everything is working. All right. So this is for clicking. Now, as the next step, we would like to also maybe try to set an attribute. Let's change the width and height of a particular jdenticon on which we are going to click. Okay, and let's see what will happen. So I'm going to simply write down element set attribute, and then I'm going to refer first to the width, and this is going to be, let's say, 100%. And then we will have element set attribute, and this time I'm going to refer to the height, and this is also going to be 100%. Let's see what will happen. I'm going to click, and we have a full size identicon. So this is not an effect that we want to receive, okay? Because we actually want to grab a copy of this particular identicon and place it in a modal where we are going to actually display it in a full size of the modal. So in order to do this, before we actually bring in the modal, I'm going to create another constant which I'm going to name L, and this element, this L, will store the copy of a given element. Okay, so let's write element and then copy, sorry, not copy, clone, I think, clone node, and then we just simply need to pass in true. And now we can set the attribute not on the element itself, but on L. All right, now let's save this. And now if we click on it, nothing actually happens. Okay, we have a copy of an element which is ready to be placed in a modal. So as the next step, we actually need to bring in the modal. So I'm at getbootstrap.com at modal, and as you can see, I already had this marked because I already recorded this tutorial. This is amazing. I already recorded this tutorial because yeah, and I'm doing it again because I didn't have my microphone set up properly and the sound quality was dramatic. So if some of you guys follow me, I had some major issues with my computer before releasing the 5-hour long Django tutorial for beginners, which I recorded during COVID. And yeah, I still didn't set up this computer, which is used only for YouTube purposes, correctly. So sorry for this. Let's bring in the modal and let's go to main HTML, and in the block content, let's paste everything. So first of all, let's do some cleanup. We won't need the footer. We'll need just the body. Let's delete the 3 dots. Let's add an ID over here. Modal body. Okay, and we are going to grab the modal body based on this ID in just a second. Then over here in the modal title, we can add selected jdenticon. All right. And basically, we can also change the ID of a given model. Let's call it maybe jdenticon model. And then I'm going to copy this ID and place it in the databs target. Now I'm going to grab this databs target and databs toggle equal to modal, because this is needed for triggering the modal, but we don't want to trigger it with a launch demo modal button like over here. We want to trigger the button once we click on our SVG. So we need to go to our SVG and maybe after the style where we have cursor set to pointer, we can paste databs toggle and databs target. Now we can delete the button which was supposed to trigger the modal. And yeah, let's save this and let's see if this works. So yeah, everything is working. All right, guys, so one step is missing. We now need to place the identicon in the model. So let's do it very quickly. We can't do it with inner HTML because this is an SVG object. So the way to do it is to simply refer to the modal body, which we need to grab. So const and then modal body is equal to document get element by ID modal body. Okay, so now we have this modal body, and now let's append child. So let's append this element as child of the modal body. All right, let's save this. Let's hit refresh. And as you can see, everything is working. However, if we click on it again, we will see 2 and then 3. So this is not the effect that we want to achieve. And the fix is actually very simple. We can write down modal body inner HTML and to reset the modal body every time we click on a given identicon. So let's save it and let's see how this looks right now. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. So this is it for this tutorial. It was a pretty easy one, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a great day and bye-bye.